Newsflash, MarTech tools don't close deals. Clients do. So if you've been spending all of your time lately researching MarTech and not getting to know your clients better, this week it's time to shift your focus. G'day everyone, it's Coach Michelle J. Raymond, your trusted guide for building your brand and growing your business on LinkedIn. And listeners, if you've been following along the podcast over the last few weeks, you'll realize I'm in a bit of a reflective mood. I've gone through the process of almost wanting to quit LinkedIn because I was over it, to having a look at what's working and what's not, what kinds of things I needed to shift both in my mindset and in my business. And this week I want to talk about what I've discovered is going on the platform around me, which I think is actually causing far more grief and not helping us as much as some of these other experts might have you think. There's been an enormous amount of pressure this year for everybody to adopt AI and MarTech tools in general. These are meant to be our saviors. They're meant to be here to give us so much more time back, increase our productivity, and make us like 1,000 times better than we currently are. I got a question. For all that effort that you're putting into researching these tools, trying to figure out how to use them, becoming prompt engineers, is it really working for you? Honestly, for all the effort that you've put in, are you seeing a return in your business? Be honest. Are you sure? Because from where I sit, it looks like the world's biggest distraction has happened this year, and we've taken our eye off the ball and forgotten that if we put this much effort into researching our clients, their needs, and being in service of that person that we've done all of the research on, our businesses would be growing. We wouldn't be seeing such poor results on LinkedIn like we are. And so I want to have a chat around that today because, I have spent 20 years in B2B sales. I have spent 10 years selling on LinkedIn. And my success has always come not from having the latest tools, but from having built networks and relationships with people that are strategic, that I spend my time nurturing them. So in today's episode, I want to have a chat about this. Where should you be focusing your time and energy to generate growth from your efforts on LinkedIn? I want to start with the MarTech Trap. And there are so many different varieties of MarTech out there. So it could be things like the large language models, ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, those kinds of things. We've got tools for repurposing content. We've got tools for writing content. We've got tools for automating messaging. We've got tools for, pretty much everything. And I did a quick search and there's about it's estimated around 15,000 different MarTech tools out there. And of course, there's a portion of them directly related back to LinkedIn. And it's crazy to think, how are you ever going to find exactly which one is best for you and your business? And in my experience, whenever I try these new tools, it's super time intensive and the learning curve is pretty steep. And when you're busy, I'm not sure that we ever have enough time that we can invest into these tools and really get out of them what's promised on the box. And I think when I looked at this for my own business, and please don't take this as I'm anti-tech or anti-AI, I am certainly not. But what I've realized is people are so focused on that I think we've forgotten about the people that we're in service of, our ideal clients, the reason that we're showing up on LinkedIn. And for me, it's really this focus on productivity and move away from relationship building, I think is partly responsible for some of the results that I'm seeing in my own business. And I know that it has an impact because I don't enjoy things as much right now. And when I stopped and did an assessment, it was because I hadn't been putting as much effort into nurturing relationships, building strategic communities as I have done historically. And I liken it to those people that always want the shiniest, best tool. Now, off LinkedIn recently, I've been doing a lot of DIY renos, and I can promise you that even if I bought the most expensive tool in the shop and brought it back, so let's just say I've got the most expensive, saw, I've got the most expensive hammer, screwdriver set, like the whole lot, I'm kitted up. That doesn't make me a builder, right? It is not going to just make up for the fact that I have had no industry experience. I've had no training. I haven't done an apprenticeship. I haven't had any other hands-on experience. So as the saying goes, all the gear and no idea. And I think that's what's going on right now. We're expecting that these tools are going to make up for lack of strategy. Now, the tools cannot help you with that. They are going to amplify what you put in, but are you putting in the right ingredients up front? And based on the conversations I'm having and the LinkedIn strategies that people come to me, they want to do a power hour where I review it. And I have a look at these strategies and I'm like, whoa, if you spend your time and effort doing what this generic churned out ChatGPT strategy, for instance, is, you're going to get nowhere. In fact, you're going to fall behind further from your competitors because you've skipped to trying to make content better and have not spent any time whatsoever trying to understand your clients. I'm trying to slow people down a little bit. I get that the focus is often on do more content, whether we want to call it thought leadership content. It's still rubbish if we haven't done our customer research. Today, I want to go back to what is it that I think can help people move the focus back onto what's important, the customer, what kinds of questions you should be answering, and then how we can then take the MarTech to help us get better results, not the cart before the horse. So it's not MarTech first, customer second. We need to flip these things around. How do I know that somebody's got a customer first approach? It's really easy. When I land on their profile, everything is designed with that customer in mind. So when I'm rewriting client profiles, we ask the questions, who is it that you want to work with? What is it that you can do for those people? What makes your product or service different? And getting back to some of those fundamental basic questions that can help us to write in a way that the person on the other side easily, quickly can identify that they are in the right place. And so the LinkedIn profile is dialed in. I know when they write content that they use the language of their ideal clients, that they've done the research to find out what is the problem in that ideal client's words on the other side that you solve. What kinds of problems are keeping them up at night? What is it that is stopping them from achieving their KPIs? How can you build trust so that they can make an easy buying decision when they're ready with you? The more that you have empathy, my favorite word when it comes to LinkedIn, the more you put yourself into their shoes and understand what a day in the life of that business or of that person on the other side is really like and what matters to them, then you can nail your content just like you have nailed your LinkedIn profile. But too often we're so focused on how to write the best hook. Can we get ChatGPT with a prompt to write like us as fast as possible? Can we save time? Can we reduce the amount of effort that we're putting into relationship building? When your focus is that, it almost feels like what you're putting out there is hollow, that it doesn't resonate and it really doesn't apply to the person on the other side. You might be thinking, Michelle, how do you know all of this? Fair question. I know this because you're having exactly the same experiences I am right now when I'm scrolling LinkedIn, and there is so much bland, soulless, generic content out there that everything is just a clone of a clone of a clone. And it's become so bland and boring, or should we call that professional, my other favorite word when it comes to LinkedIn. And from that perspective, you know that that's what you're on the receiving end of. But my question is, if you were to take a moment and have a look at the content that you've been putting out recently, or the messages that you've been sending, or if I was to read your LinkedIn profile, does it really speak to your ideal audience? Are you spending time making sure that you're connecting with them? And we know these days with the Gen Z and millennial buyers, they want trust, they want transparency, they want authenticity. Now, that doesn't come from a carbon copy paste of everyone and everything else. When we look at this, the missed opportunities on LinkedIn are coming from the fact that we are not having a customer first approach. And today we're going to flip that script and start to think, what actions can I take that are in service of that audience? How can I get them closer to their goals? And what is it that I have to shift in my behavior on LinkedIn? And by that, it can be your company page content. It can be your personal content. I know I've got listeners that are responsible for their own content. I've got others that are responsible for creating content for the business. It doesn't matter which side. This applies to everyone. Let's have a chat about shifting focus after this short break. What are the practical ways that you can be shifting your focus away from features and functions of MarTech and getting distracted that way to focusing back on your customers? And sometimes it's as simple as asking, it could be your sales team, it could be someone else within the business, but go and have conversations with your colleagues. Find out what's going on in your industry right now. Not what you think is going on, based on your experience from your little part of the business. Talk to your colleagues. Go and have a chat. What are the customer service team dealing with most right now? What are your quality team having issues with? Where are the most inquiries coming from? What's the most commonly asked questions that your sales team gets? So have conversations internally. If you're part of the marketing department, you can't do great LinkedIn content without having these conversations. And if you're part of a sales team or outside and it's not directly your responsibility for creating content on behalf of the business, honestly, you want to be proactive and go and help your colleagues. The more that everybody works together, that power of two that I'm so famous for saying is about bringing things together for better results. So absolutely talk to your colleagues and start to learn the language that your ideal customer uses to describe the problems that they're having. The more that you can really dial in things so that when they come across, and it could be content or the profiles, as I said, when they land on it, they're like, oh my God, are you reading my mind? And the craziest thing that I ever had somebody ask me was, Michelle, can you listen in on our phones? And I was like, what? Why do you think I'm so powerful that I can listen in on your phone? And the person who has since become a client said to me, well, we were in the boardroom having a discussion around LinkedIn and your message came in and it basically was word for word what they were talking about was the issue on their side. And I just nailed it in my messaging and she reached out, booked a call and has become a long-term client of mine. But I had spent so much time trying to understand what is life for a B2B marketer who's trying to get the business found and discovered and stand out and grow on LinkedIn. What's it like for them? So they always feel like I've done my research, they feel seen, they feel heard, and they feel like I actually get them. And it is so much easier to build rapport like that when you've done your work, no different to if I was back in my role as an account manager, going and visiting customers face to face. I had to do the work to know who they were, both in their role and as a human being. That is who you're actually dealing with. You will be very surprised that when I meet people, very quickly, I almost end up knowing their whole life story. Like Lil will laugh when we go on holidays. I'll come back from having a swim in the pool and then we'll walk past somebody later and I'll go, that's Jim and Mary. They're retired. They come from, Illinois, USA. She was a teacher. He was an engineer. They've got 3 kids. Their grandkids are this. They're now traveling the world. She likes this. He doesn't like this. And I can tell you everything because I listen, right? I am looking for how can we personally connect? And I want you to think about how can you do that on LinkedIn? And that can sometimes be as simple as reading somebody's profile and finding something that you have in common, or asking them a question about a particular point that you read in their about section. Or maybe it's a post you saw that you went, actually, I have something similar happen to me. What I'm asking you to do, listeners, is actually care about the person on the other side just as much as we care about the features and the functions of the products that we're looking to buy. So products, technology will get us so far, but if we skip over the most important step, which is why are we doing this and who are we doing it for, you are basically just burning money. And I am seeing that right now with people that have invested heavily in tech, skipped over the customer phase, and are wondering why the tech doesn't work. In most cases, the tech is amazing and is going to deliver when you have a really strong foundation set up based on customer research. So my question for you listeners is, what of your behaviors can you change between now and next week's episode, where instead of spending all your time researching tech, you spend more time researching your customers? Can we make that deal? Let's get back focused on our customers, build a strong foundation, and then jump onto MarTech. Cheers.